someone new now. I have more room, no more formats to chain me. On the same page, we are effortless, schemaless, living in the future, you and me, made for us, serverless, living in the future of the clouds.
Now it's 22. That's strange.
And hello everyone, and welcome to today's workshop. So I'm glad to welcome you to this workshop by Data Stacks with a special guest. So first things first, please tell me if you are hearing us loud and clear. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear us? Let's see. Sound check. I hope it's good. How is the sound? Nobody's answering. Okay. Okay, I can hear myself. Okay, we can. Oh, great. Hi, Nevran. Hi, Rodrigo. Hi, Raul. Nice to see you again. Alessio, Jean-Pierre, everybody. So, Rux, can you test your sound, please?
Perfect. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I like to say that. Can everybody hear me? That is Rags.
Yeah. And today we have a special guest. So, Daniel from Red Hat. Hello, Daniel. Welcome. Thank you for joining. How are you?
Yeah, welcome everybody.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
So shall we go ahead and introduce ourselves? My name is Raghavan Srinivas. I go by Rags. Basically, I'm really about simplifying distributed systems development. I feel like Kubernetes has done a lot in terms of providing the infrastructure, but it's still not easy to simplify the developer inner loop. It's not easy to do the inner loop, which is a lightweight CI/CD, and that's kind of what we're going to be focusing in today's workshop. We put in a lot of effort to make this happen, and obviously work closely with Daniel from Red Hat, and so hopefully you will see the power of the platform during the workshop. Stefano?
Yeah. So, well, I'm Stefano. I'm developer advocate at DataStax. And yeah, today we will guide you through this very cool topic, which is Quarkus. I have to say this is not my expertise, so I will mostly leave to the experts here. And yeah, so I think we had a small technical trouble getting Daniel on screen, so you will enjoy a still of him. But nevertheless, he's going to present himself now. So please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stefano. Yeah, my name is Daniel O. I'm working for Red Hat as technical marketing major and developer advocate, specialized in cloud native runtime, Quarkus, and Spring Boot Node.js and Vertex. And I'm spend a lot of time to integrate platform with the cloud native runtime, specifically serverless and service mesh. And I'm also CNCF ambassador and DevOps Institute ambassador to evangelize a lot of cloud-native architecture and cloud-native best practice how to build your hybrid cloud. Here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any question around cloud-native stuff.
And just in terms of clarification, for those of you from the Java world who may be somewhat new to cloud native, the CNCF is the Cloud Native Compute Foundation, which does some excellent work on the cloud native side. And obviously, like what Daniel said, he's one of the ambassadors for CNCF, and there are a lot more around the world as well. So with that said, should we start the Menti and get an idea of the audience we're talking to? Because that's the most important thing, right?
Yes.
Know the audience,
Yes,
right?
please.
All right. So let me try this. This is the first time I'm doing this, but I'll give it a shot.
So
Okay.
we are about to ask you a few questions, and to do that, questions just to get to know better what kind of audience we have. And to do that, we are asking you to join menti.com. So this should be okay. I'm gonna paste a link and instructions on the YouTube chat here. We ask you to kindly join menti.com and enter the code that you see here. So yes, Rax, you should be able to press I to make this easier to read, but anyway, you are presenting, right? So that should be good. Very good. So please go to menti.com, enter the code here, 63035160. And while we wait for you to join and to give us some information about you, I'll tell you one thing. By the end of this workshop, this same menti.com will be used to ask you some questions on the topic that you are about to see. And if you will answer fast and correct, you will get a chance to win some swag kindly provided by Red Hat, some Quarkus themed swag. So please keep Menti open after these initial questions and you will get a chance to win some nice prizes.
Yeah, and Stefano, it feels like you're underemphasizing the part because the swag is really, really cool. It's the Quarkus jacket, and I myself would like to win one, but
we
I'm
can't
terrible
here,
at Menti.
Right? Yes.
Exactly, and I'm not good at Menti either. So let's get started. I think we have enough number of people.
So if you press I again, you're back to the blue screen of Menti, and you should be able to see how many are joining. I see 30 something, a bit more.
34.
Okay, so I think we can start. Anyway, you will have time to join for the competition at the end of today. So let's go ahead. And I think you just press enter.
We have quite a few. Quite a few who have not joined yet. So let's wait for a magic number. Let's say 36, 37. What do you think? Okay, we're already 36. Okay, we should keep going, right? What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, we're at 37. Okay. It feels like I'm doing an auction, but maybe. All right, so let's go ahead with the next one.
Okay. So, now we are asking you, where are you coming from? Where are you tuning in from? Just to have an idea, I see North America, South America, somebody in the middle of the ocean, I guess.
Right.
Europe, India, Russia, Canada. Or is that Canada? Saudi Arabia, Portugal, or Spain, UK. Very good. So, we have an audience from all over the world. I see China, probably. That's too small to distinguish, but great. Okay. Cool.
I think India is beating the world in the Quarkus Cassandra workshop, right? But I know that most Indians would like India to win the World Cup, the T20. So hopefully they'll win it. But in the meantime, at least enjoy the workshop for the next an hour and 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like I should keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead. Okay. So there are a few other questions. Yeah.
What's your experience? Yeah, great.
So are you new to Cassandra? Do you know what Cassandra is? Do you have some experience, or you really are a master of Cassandra? So
exactly.
Nice.
We got to watch out for those 2 people, right? Or 3 people now, who are NoSQL gurus.
Yeah, nice to see there are some gurus. There is always something more to learn, especially today is about a very specific topic, how to use Quarkus with Cassandra, which is cool. Some experienced people.
So I think this is on par with what we expected, right?
Yeah.
We expected a lot of beginners, and welcome to all the beginners, and welcome to those who are experienced as well, and the gurus as well. All right, moving on to the next question.
So, do you already have a certification, an Apache Cassandra certification, developer or administrator? Someone does. Many don't, which makes sense, is in line with what we saw earlier. And yeah, that's pretty much what we expected.
Let me bring up the Menticom, just in case anybody is interested. Okay, and join late.
So yeah, please join and keep the connection to Menti, because later there will be the quiz. Now, let me anticipate a very quick thing about this question. We are asking you if you are certified, because getting the Apache Cassandra certification involves taking an exam. This exam has a cost, but today, by the end of this workshop, we will be able to give you for free vouchers that make you eligible to take the exam for free. So stay tuned and you will get a chance to get a certification. Obviously, you still have to study because that's life, but you will be able to take the exam for free and to get a certified Apache Cassandra developer or administrator, which will be a great boost to your career. So stay tuned. Okay. So more on that by the end of today, but still in the meantime, how many of our workshops have you attended? So for some of you, it is the first workshop. A few of you.
Welcome.
So some of them, more than 5. No idea here for the swag. I like your honesty.
Honest.
Yeah, so maybe it's a good time to remind you that we run workshops several per week, and about all topics: development, front-end, back-end, various languages, databases, mostly Cassandra and related topics, but still very broad topics. And please connect with us and stay with us, because we offer new content very frequently. So.
Yeah, and usually it's on Wednesday and Thursday, and nowadays we are trying to make it more friendly for US as well. Yeah. Not just for Asia, but for US as well. So if you can reach out to your counterparts in US and let them know that there are more friendly US times, that may help as well.
Yeah. So Rodrigo, you made the right choice to decide to get certified. Please stay tuned. In the meantime, you'll find a link in the YouTube chat to stay up to date with our workshop offering. So I think we can go ahead now. We can go forward. What's your profile? Java developer. Well, that fits with today, so we'll see.
Correct.
Database administrator, system administrator, jack of all trades. Yeah, I like jack of all trades. Yeah, there are quite some. Yeah, it's good, no? To be able to do a bit of everything.
It's surprising that we don't have any database admins, although this is a Cassandra workshop, right? Yeah. Which is fine, because it's really more of a development workshop.
Yeah, and there are managed solutions that make it easy to do without operations. More on that later. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for the answers. I think that was it.
So because of Java being predominant, you would like to kind of get an idea. Okay, there are 3 people with greater than 10 years. Fantastic. Some people don't know anything about Java, which is fine. You can still, benefit from this workshop, as long as you follow the steps. I think it's good. All right. So I think this is kind of on par with what we expected as well. But I'm glad to see a lot of people who have worked more than 10 years in Java.
Okay, so another question. Have you used Quarkus before? Then someone did. Many didn't yet.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows? Well, if you haven't used that yet, then today is for you. But probably also if you use that, because there's always something more to learn, some hands-on to do, because today's practice with you will be able to do your own coding and running stuff.
All our
And
workshop are very hands-on, like you said. Yeah, and even if you're a Quarkus expert here, you may pick up a tip or two. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Okay.
All right. I think that's good. And the last question here probably is, what IDE do you use?
Yeah. So VS Code, IntelliJ. Well, Eclipse is probably eclipsed.
Eclipse is eclipsed. Yeah.
So IntelliJ seems to win especially among Java developers.
Yeah.
Not
I'm
to be not a
not terribly
surprise.
surprised. Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
those who put other, if you can put in the chat what IDE you use, that will be useful. Especially if you're using. I mean, you're a Java developer and you're using another IDE.
Yeah.
I always am curious, but you don't need to put it in chat.
Okay, so I can
So-
share my dirty secret. I mostly use text editor Notepad
Okay.
as my
Yeah,
IDE,
Emacs
and
is fine. Yeah,
text
exactly.
editor plus console.
Okay, gotcha.
That tells about what
Yeah.
kind of complex projects I handle currently. But yeah.
Got it. But
Okay.
one of the things the reason for putting up this question is because, as you know, we will be using an integrated IDE called Gitpod,
Yeah.
which really is very powerful. It provides you not only an IDE, but it provides you a terminal, and it does a whole lot of things, including bringing up a browser and things like that. So
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool. So the reason, for those of you who have not used VS Code, this might take a little bit of getting used to, but it's pretty easy to use VS Code anyway. All right, with that out of the way, I think we should get back to.
Yeah. So I think we are done with the initial questions. So
Yeah.
it's time for us to start. But please keep the Menti open for the quiz.
Yeah.
Now,
Please keep it
Rax, you
open.
can just switch to your slides.
Yeah,
And
just give me a second. I'll make sure that I have the
yeah.
right one. Oh, right here.
So
Okay, so we're right here.
yeah.
Okay, Danielle, we are not just two of us here. We have a whole team that's going to be supporting us. They'll be helping out with the chat and so on. Although I think there is another workshop going on at the same time. But like what Stefano said before, we have other workshops and run by our team. So with that said, let's jump straight into Quarkus. Danielle.
Thank you so much, Rex. And then first of all, I think this workshop pretty amazing for all of you because I just saw a lot of people doesn't have any experience with Quarkus things. So maybe this is a really good chance to catch up what Quarkus is. So Quarkus is just Java framework. And then we can say the supersonic subatomic Java. Let me explain why we call that. If you're going to the next slide, please. So here is Java was born almost 26 years ago. And at a time, Java was really more focused on the high throughput and with it 24/7 running process all the time. And then you just need a few virtual machine to run your business application. It's dynamic behavior when you compile your bytecode and immediate application, and then you could run any app server over the internet. That was the beauty of the Java technology at a time. But things changed there, so we are moving forward to immutable infrastructure, aka Kubernetes. And then just imagine that you just package one containerized microservice application with the Java, and then you need to scale up maybe 1,000 pod or hundreds of 1,000 pod based on your business capabilities. But if you still have the same behavior or dynamic capability, it's totally not a productive technology and architecture stack. So that's why we designed Quarkus. If we go into the next slide, please.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I mentioned here is that even though it's a paradigm change, you can still use IntelliJ or VS Code or whatever that you have been using and kind of follow the same CI/CD pipelines that you used to.
Yeah, that's a really good catch, Brad. Thanks for that. And also, we cannot ignore the Java developer around the world. So If I remember correctly, there are more than 15 million Java developers around the world to develop business application every single day. So we cannot ignore them. So that's why we are developing new Java framework. But this Java framework was born after new technologies such as container packaging, like a Linux container, like a Docker, OCI, something like that, as well as Kubernetes. So Java, this Quarkus was born a little bit more focused on Kubernetes and the container first. As you can see, we optimize the memory footprint and the startup time, and also memory footprint as well. Let me a little bit more detail. Next slide.
So I think there is a good question here, Daniel, that you may want to address. What is the difference between Quarkus plus native and Quarkus plus JVM? I think this
Yeah,
is a question by
yeah,
Anshul Gupta.
yeah, sure. Yeah, good question. Actually, we got a more slide for that,
Okay,
but
that's fine. Yeah,
I'm
let's
gonna answer this question a little bit later because we have a slide there for that.
fair
Okay,
enough.
cool. And then, so we improve a lot of developer productivity. So all matter is developer experiences. So we provide the developer UI and developer CLI, and also as you can see, there are live coding. That is the beauty of the Quarkus. You're gonna go through this almost feature during the workshop today. So as an example, when you run Quarkus runtime, like a Maven Quarkus dev, it's a Quarkus dev mode, and then just running your local machine, JVM, and then whenever you change your application code, the Quarkus automatically detect your change code application property file or YAML file, and automatically recompile, rebuild, and restart your local environment. So developer standpoint, you don't need to do anything. Just keep focusing your business application development. That is the beauty of the live coding capability. So we got a lot of customer success story with that developer productivity. So they are more than 30%. The developer developing time reduced 30% of the whole application development time. Also, there are dev services. So when you add some specific Maven dependency, we can call Quarkus extension. For example, when you add PostgreSQL or MongoDB or MS SQL data dependency on your Gradle project or the Maven project, Quarkus automatically stands up your container, like a Docker container for PostgreSQL database or MongoDB, or even single sign-on Keycloak or Redis data grid or something like that. So you don't need to use Docker Compose, you don't need to use Docker CLI to stand up your local machine, or even you don't need to install that database or Kafka cluster to interact your business application.
Yeah,
Well,
I think one of the things that has been underemphasized in this day of containers and microservices is the inner loop, right? The inner loop takes a lot, the significant time for the developer, and if you can somehow speed this up, you will achieve exponential proportion in developer productivity, and you will see this in action today. Sorry, Daniel, did I interrupt you? Did you have something else here, or should I
yeah,
move to the?
absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not. That is a really good point. So the workflow process standpoint, the developer totally save their time. You don't need to do recompile, rebuild, deploy stuff. Just only focus on the application development. Yeah, the next great feature of the Quarkus thing is Quarkus enables Java developer to unify imperative and reactive application development at the same time. As an example, if you needed, your company need you to develop new reactive application along with the event-driven architecture. For example, we need to create a new application, communicate backend Kafka server. In order to that, maybe you need to use like a Spring Reactive. This is a totally different architecture rather than the general Spring Boot application. Also, you maybe run something new technology like a Node.js or TypeScript or something else to implement reactive application. So this is a huge burden for general Java developers. But Quarkus provides the same capability for in-parallel like a request response to synchronized real-time application. Also reactive application. Only different thing you need to care about for developer standpoint, you just need to use proper annotation. In the left side, the inject is a similar thing in the Spring Boot auto wire to CDI injection, and then you can see the get like a request mapping in Spring side, and it just produce the text plain or application JSON format. It's just traditional microservices, but right side you can see something a little bit different annotation like a channel qualifier, and you can add outgoing, incoming annotation. In order to implement same functionality in Spring Boot, you need to use Spring integrations, you need to use Spring Cloud Stream, something like that. So this is a huge benefit for developer as well. Next slide, please. So here, how does a typical Java framework works? So in a build time, you need to just pick it up your prepared packaging tool like a Maven Gradle, and then once you're packaging, you have a Java file. But the behind the scene, when you run that Java file using Java command line, there are a lot of stuff working on underneath. For example, the parse annotation and the scanning your annotation, and you need to enable, disable some features. Also, parsing descriptor. There are a lot of stuff thing. At the end of that, you just your Java framework just run your application based on thread or pull. So next slide, please. So the Quarkus shift all this stuff from right to left in a build time. So this is the huge change in Kubernetes, like immutable infrastructure. Just imagine that. So at runtime, you just think about, oh, I just run my application, but behind the scene, there are a lot of stuff working underneath, which means people say, oh, Java too heavyweight, Java too slow on Kubernetes, specifically like a serverless or like a scalability. But we just doing in the build time, which means that we just run, actually create a process and thread at runtime. This makes Quarkus super fast and small memory footprint. Next slide, please.
Yeah. One of the things that's trendy in today's industry is kind of shift everything left, right? So the earlier you can do in the life cycle, software development life cycle, the better it is. And that's kind of what Quarkus does, which seems obvious, but I just wanted to say it anyway.
Yeah, here is I'm going to answer the question. So what is the difference between Quarkus/native and Quarkus/JVM? So Quarkus actually allows developer to package that application, two different type of. One is JVM using hotspot running on Java virtual machine, just like a traditional Java application, create the Java file artifact and run on JVM. The other one is native, which means the Quarkus Java framework allows developer to create the native executable file like a Go or like a Python, something like that. You don't need to use JVM to run the native executable file. You don't need to use a Java command line. Just run that file. It is executable file. And then the little bit technically, that native executable file running on GraalVM and specifically server tray VM as a runtime. So this makes Quarkus super fast and a small memory footprint, just like a Go, even more than Go. So just compare to JVM versus native, it's more than 300 times faster than startup time. For example, when you have the Hello World application, like a RESTful API, something like that, it just takes maybe 0.7 seconds, less than 1 second to start up, like let's say just 1 second. But if you have a same application and packaging native executable file, you just need to 10 milliseconds or 5 milliseconds to start up. Same application. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, I think yesterday I was working with a colleague of mine who was giving me some feedback about this workshop, and basically he did this JVM packaging and the native packaging, and he said, "Wow, this feels a little zippy. You can feel it, even though our application is very simple. It still starts up really quickly, and you will see that in action yourself and hopefully experience the same thing as well.
Yeah, that's great. And then, so you can actually use implement Java native thing on your traditional Java framework, but you need to run about the old complex like a Java reflection stuff. But with the Quarkus, you don't need to worry about that because you just keep developing traditional Java like a Pojo class CDI and the services and the resources Java bin, and then just using Maven command line like a Maven package and -p native, which allows you package native compilation automatically. The behind the scene Quarkus actually handle all of the native compilation at all. So this is a super important thing. You don't need to learn any specific technology or syntax, something like that. It's still Java standard way. You can also add a lot of extension, like a enterprise Java capability, like a single sign-on security and a messaging with a Kafka and database. And you're going to learn how to use a Cassandra database with the Quarkus with a simple way. You just keep developing the traditional Java application like a cloud native way, but just only focus on how to set it up like an application properly. So what kind of use case you actually do use Quarkus thing? So you can actually use everything like a traditional microservices with the data transaction like a CRUD, and also you can develop cloud native like based on Kubernetes for reactive application or serverless function, and you can develop like a command line application, and also there are Kubernetes operator thing or GitHub action for your DevOps pipeline. The Quarkus provide that capability to implement their functionalities. Next slide, please. So here is the our new free ebook here. So my colleague Erick is write this book. I also participate in writing this one of a chapter, like a chapter 5, which is really more focused on how to implement event-driven application, like a reactive application, communicate Kafka cluster and the cloud event on Kubernetes. But this is a more important thing is this book showcases what differences and similarity between Quarkus and Spring Boot. So if you already a lot of experience of the Spring Boot, how to develop microservices for specific use case, maybe this is really helpful to understand what capable of Quarkus is to implement same functionality with a more productive and effective way. Next slide, please.
Yeah. And actually, Martin Warburg, I think he works for Microsoft now. He's a very well-known person in the, in the Java space. Some of you might relate to that. Also, I know that Erick is not feeling too well right now. Otherwise, he would have been here as well. So we wish him a speedy recovery. And with that, Daniel, any more you want to add before I jump into Astra?
No, I'm good, and I'm gonna stay in the workshop in the back channel. So if you have any question around the forecasting or doing some troubleshooting in the workshop, and just ask the question in the channel, the chat window in the YouTube, and I'm more than happy to address your questions.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Daniel. With that, let's jump into Astra. I think Daniel talked about a very powerful platform, a very reactive platform, responsive platform. But as Nicholas Wirth put it about 50 years ago, actually, programs is equal to algorithms plus data structures, right? So I think the algorithms are optimized with Quarkus, whereas you still have to have responsive data, and that's where Astra fits in. So once you have the two together, it makes it a lot easier, right? It makes it a lot responsive and so on. What is Astra really? It's basically it starts with Apache Cassandra, and essentially it's a Apache Cassandra database as a service. Apache Cassandra, as we know, is used by like the Apples and the Netflix of the world. They really use this, and really very scalable. The way I kind of look at it is from a Java programmer perspective is that it's really a big distributed hash set. And I don't need to worry about how to distribute it. I don't need to worry about what happens if a particular node goes down and all that, because, Apache Cassandra takes care of all that for you. and we're going to be using Astra, which is a database as a service, which essentially means that you don't have to do any of the system administration yourself, and let us worry about this. How is the data distributed? We have what is referred to as a partition key, and that is the central tenet, in Cassandra. So it's distributed based on partition keys. It's also made highly available because there are 2 copies of that kept elsewhere, just in case the node, uses that one of the nodes dies. You can still get it from the other nodes. There are a number of other things that makes it very unique. Makes Cassandra very unique. You should attend some of our NoSQL workshops or an Intro to Cassandra workshop to get a little bit more details about that. But essentially, what Cassandra does is it distributes the data based on the partition key. And really, the cool thing about Cassandra and if you want to use it, there are a number of different ways of using this. One is the easiest option is to go sign up on Astra, which is what you're going to do today. But there are also other options, like for example, you can install this on your own cloud. We have something called as a Cassandra, which is Kubernetes. Cassandra running on Kubernetes, and you can install that as well on multi-cloud. I myself have a number of those running, on different clouds. Like Quarkus, really, when it comes to data, if you want highly scalable, highly available, totally distributed, cloud native, I think there are a number of use cases where you can use Cassandra. We all know that there is this technology is not a silver bullet, right? There are certain things that may not fit your use cases, but it's really when you're looking for fast, responsive, microservices based, service mesh based, that's useful. Okay, so I skipped that slide. But really, what is Astra? It's like I said, it's database as a service. That's the easiest way to understand that. But there are a number of other advantages with that as well. It is front-ended by what is called as a Stargate API. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a second. Essentially what it can do is do a lot of the day-to-day operations behind the scenes automatically for you. You can migrate it to Astra. There was a webinar. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but you can migrate your, if you have an existing database, Cassandra database, you can migrate into Astra. You can work with, with us to make this happen. So specifically with respect to Quarkus and Cassandra, what we'll be doing today is looking at the Quarkus Cassandra extension. You can do. We have a Cassandra driver. We have Cassandra driver object mapper support, which maps objects to relational, in a way, right? So essentially, it's a easier way to kind of deal with it using data access object, data transfer objects, and so on. And although we won't be using that in today's exercise, in today's workshop, I will point you at one repository that kind of does that. The primary thing is native image support, and like I said, you can spin up a database today in Astra and get started. Pretty straightforward. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to provide the appropriate artifacts needed to connect to Astra, right? So basically, you provide this path to Astra bundle.zip. It's a secure connect bundle, and it kind of walks you through that. You provide a username and a password. Essentially, it's a client secret and a client ID and client secret. That's kind of what you use. And then you can provide some Cassandra related configuration as well. So this is again enabled by the Quarkus driver that we support. Okay. We are primarily going to use the SQL session today, and Erick and I had a discussion for a long time about, but SQL, it's not reactive, it's synchronous, right? And all points are correct. And you may think that, today's example, you're not quite doing reactive, but it's coming. It's gRPC is coming, and it's the cloud native way to call SQL. The key benefits of gRPC is that, it's a lightweight client library, and that's the way the cool kids who do microservice and service mesh do reactive these days, right? So gRPC is coming. But the nice thing about this is, if you're using SQL, okay, this is kind of what we're going to see today, more or less. The gRPC is exactly, it's going to use the SQL in the back end, but we don't really care about how that is done. So in other words, you can potentially see a workshop, a follow-on workshop, which essentially uses gRPC and is truly reactive. Okay. In today's exercise, what we're going to do in today's workshop, we're going to go through the mechanics, but pretty soon we're going to start looking at kind of the data access object, the data transfer objects that most of you as Java programmers understand, because it's a lot easier to do it, via these objects, because it provides you with standard getter methods, setter methods, and so on. That could be a follow-on workshop. It also supports mutiny types, and this is an easier way of, again, doing programming, using databases. Okay. But I know that you guys are kind of chomping on the bit, waiting to get started on the workshop. So let me jump straight to here. Like I said, Astra is front-ended by Stargate, and what it does is it provides you with a number of different APIs, document API, SQL, GraphQL, and we have workshops for pretty much all of this. So we're not going to make you a Cassandra expert in this workshop, nor will we make you a Quarkus expert in this workshop, but you will definitely get to that by getting your hands dirty. Okay. So with that, let's jump to live coding. And my goal here is to not talk too much, let you guys do a lot of the work. But what I want to do is kind of talk about some of these, sharp edges, okay, that you probably want to avoid, because, there are certain things that you may want to take care of, okay? So let me go into doing a little bit of the live coding, and then I'll turn you guys loose, maybe, in about 10 minutes. And then my suggestion is, I won't talk too much, but at the end, I'll kind of walk through each of those different steps that you're going to go through. If you can put in the chat that, with a thumbs up, exercise 1, I finished up exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3 or something, I think that'll help, to kind of, understand where you are. And it also kind of provides a peer pressure for other people, but don't feel pressured. If you want to do the coding yourself later, you can do that as well. Okay. So enough of talking. Let's jump into live coding. What do you think, Stefano?
Yeah,
All right.
that's great. So
Too much talking, right?
No, I think it's good. I
Okay.
think it's the right time to start working with the database. So if you're okay, Rags, let's help our friends here to start by creating their database, right?
Yes.
So,
So to create a database, very straightforward. The link is provided. I believe it's something like astra.datastacks.com or something.
So
I already have.
I'll put that in the chat. But if you're okay, I'll also give the link to the GitHub repository for later reference.
Yes.
Because
let's give this.
So you will find now in the YouTube chat, and I'll also give it to the Discord folks in the main chat room channel. Yeah, so this is the link.
So the first thing you want to do is create the AstraDB instance. So yes.
So okay, what I just gave you is a link to a repository containing basically all instructions to do the exercise of today wherever you want by yourself, so in a self-service way. That being said, today I think, as Rag said, we are going to do that together. So it's a follow along kind of thing. So first thing first, I'll give you this link where you will create your Astra DB here. Yeah, so I just noticed that Nightbot for some reason has trouble starting today. So we are on our own, Rag, sorry.
No worries.
Why. Maybe there is. I think there is another
check
workshop going on that might have made things a bit complicated, but that's okay. So, okay, you see this create your Astra DB here. So if you click on this, you will be brought to, may I share my screen, Rax, for this part? So I'll guide our attendees through the creation of the database. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Okay.
Yeah. My suggestion is, once you finish this, just put a thumbs up and say exercise 1, exercise 2, or whatever, as the case may be. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just do the Astra part and then I'll leave it to you because that's more your thing. So,
Gotcha.
okay. So you should be seeing my screen now, the GitHub repository of which I gave you the link. So you see there are all sorts of instructions. An introduction, you probably are able to. So that's made in a way that that makes it for a self-service kind of thing. Now let's jump straight to step 1, which is create your AstraDB instance. So Rags has been explaining what Astra is basically a database as a service managed in the cloud for you by DataStax, built on Apache Cassandra. And today, by going to this link that you find in the chat, astradev/1027, you will be brought to a screen like this that will give you the possibility of registering. So you will be able to register yourself, name, email, password, or just sign in with GitHub or Google, and you will be able to sign up and create your own database. Now, AstraDB has a very generous free tier, so you will be able to spin up your own database, and that will be yours for good. And you can just keep it for free and use it as much as you want within a rather high free tier limit, which is 80 gigabytes of storage and 20 million read-write operations per month, because the free credit is renewed every month. So let's say you sign in and you should go to a screen. Now, obviously, I already have my account, so let me please sign in.
And the cool thing is you can even run some like small production workloads with the free tier, which is
within
like
those
mind-blowing.
bounds. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So actually, it's not just for a couple of exercises. So you can run real applications, very much real application, and still staying within the free tier. So let's say you are signing up, and you will be asked to create your database. Now, you can name your database everything you want, but for the next parts to work smoothly, we suggest you to suspend your creativity and just use the names we suggest. So they are all given in the README here. You see database name workshops and keyspace name to-do list. That's because today's sample application is going to be the hello world of useful applications, namely a nice to-do list running within Quarkus. So let me drop these here in the chat just for everyone to follow. Please use these names when creating your database. So
I know that Anshul Gupta is already done, but you don't have to wait for it to be ready. Even if it's pending, just let us know.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you. Yeah, I'll come to that in a second. So database name workshops, keyspace name to the list. Then you have to choose where and under which cloud provider this database will be spun up. You can choose whatever you want. Maybe you want to keep it close to you. So I'm in Europe, so I'll go for AWS, Europe, Frankfurt. But any other choice should work. Then you click this Create Database button that you see here. And in a few seconds, you should be going to your dashboard, and you should see your database here, workshops. You see, that's here listed among my databases. Now, for a few minutes, this database will be in the pending state. That's normal. You just give it a few minutes for everything to be set up and set in motion. In a few minutes, that database will be active, up and running, ready for the next steps. Now, if you attended other workshops by us, you might already have your workshop databases here, in which case, that's no problem. You can just use this already existing database, and with this nice and then
ellipsis,
you should just enter this database when it will be ready, and there will be an add keyspace button here. So if you ever find yourself having the database already, you just create the key space called to-do list in it. So you can have many key spaces within a database. Now, what is a key space? That's not super relevant for us today, but it is basically a grouping of tables within a database. So that's just a logical way of grouping together related tables. Even the name of the key space is better to be kept standard. So to-do list should make everything that follows work smoothly. That's it for the database. Now let me go back to my main dashboard so we can keep an eye on when the database called workshops is becoming active. And now, as you see here, you see my workshops database is active. So whether it's active or not, I would like you to give me a thumbs up or an OK in the chat, just to know. So I've already seen someone went through step 1, which is creation of the database. Yeah, so yeah, there's a question, Rahul, maybe that this question is a bit out of scope for today. We suggest you to reach us on Discord, where we have time to go through operations related questions. So now we are a bit tight on time to speak about backups and dump of databases. So please save this question for Discord. I gave you the link to join us on Discord.
That's really cool, right?
Yeah, so I see a lot of thumbs up, so that's very good. Let's go to the next step, because now we created the database. Very good. It's probably active. It's becoming active for many of you, so we give another minute or so. I'm just browsing through the README of the repository. Now it's time to create your token, because obviously this is a database in the cloud, so it is, so you need some credentials to be able to access it from anywhere. And these credentials come in the form of, okay, super. Thank you, Rahul. So I see many thumbs up piling up, so let me go forward. Let's create the Astra token. The Astra token is something, it's basically an authentication string, a token that we will use within the Quarkus application to authenticate ourselves and reach the database in an authorized manner. And this token we create through the Astra UI. So there are two ways to create the token. The quickest way is see where I am. I am in the main dashboard where I have the list of my databases here. I want to create a token to access the database called workshops. So let me go on the right. You probably don't need to scroll horizontally, but I want my screen to be super giant so everybody of you can read smoothly. So on the far right of this line, there is this 3 dots ellipsis menu. And if you open it, there is a nice generate token item here. So let me click on this, generate a token. Now pay attention. I'm creating my token and I will have to copy it on somewhere. I will have to copy it to my machine because the tokens, once created, will not be shown again for security reasons. So this is the interface that lets me create a new token for this database. It's all explained in the README. So if you go there, you see that you have to generate the token with the role database administrator. So it will be able to create tables and do, say, super user kind of thing. So database administrator is going to be my role here when I create the token. Now let me click generate token and voila. Instantly, I have my token. Now, this is what I was saying. The token is actually made by 3 parts. There is a client ID, which will play the role of a username in the authentication through Quarkus. There is a client secret, and there is a token. Now, you can download all of them as a CSV for later lookup. Now, maybe, Rags, if I remember correctly, we need the client ID and the client secret, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So if you want, I can share mine and
okay.
go
So
from there.
this is how we create the token. You can also keep this window open, this tab open, and keep it there. But just to avoid the losing it mistakenly, I will just save my token CSV file locally for opening it later. Okay, so let me keep this token available. As you see, I already have some of them from previous workshops. Now
So there's a question: why do we need a token if you have a client secret?
Yeah, that's because there are various ways. There are actually a lot of ways to connect to your raster database through drivers, interfaces, API like this GraphQL, and different kind of HTTP APIs that Rags mentioned. And some of them will require the token proper, and some of them will require the client ID, client secret pair. So that's why. So
no, but in this particular case, we are using token and the client ID and secret, right? So so that's the question. I'm in the Secure Connect bundle, and the idea is that again, this needs to be secure. Just the client ID and secret is not good enough because we want to customize it, and that's the reason. Some of these might simplify in the future, but that's kind of where we are right now.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Right. Okay, so let's say we have our database and we generate our token, and let's not, so keep these strings in mind, and that's it for the generation of the token. And these client ID, client secret, and token will be used, all three of them, as Rags just said, they will all be used later in the application. Now, okay, I think yes. Did that answer your question? Yes. So Rags, I think it's time to jump to Gitpod.
Yeah, so I already have Gitpod open. One of the things that I want to talk to you about, a sharp corner here, if you don't mind sharing my screen.
Yes, sure. So I'll leave that to you indeed. So please, everyone, keep your token, all the three strings available for later, and I'm back to Rags' screen.
Okay,
Go.
perfect. Okay, so you see the dashboard here. If you go to workshops, right? So what you can do is you can click on workshops, and you'll do this in a little bit. But I wanted to provide you a heads up because this is something that is the toughest, believe me, part of the workshop. Is to be able to kind of get that zip file into Gitpod. Okay, and you'll see this in a second. So what you want to do is you'll click on Connect and then Java, and these are all provided. Okay, and you click on Download Bundle. Okay, and this Secure Connect bundle. Okay, if you click on this is gonna go into your local file system, right? Which is where you're kind of looking through this and all that. So I have it on downloads, right? And then when you have the Gitpod up and running, okay, so what you want to do here is to be able to transfer this zip file. So you can see here, I don't have my zip file here, right? So the easiest way to do it is just kind of drag and drop it. Okay, and right now I'm having trouble with that. I don't know why. So what I can do is take it here and drop it at this right place. So you have to drop it right here, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, so you once you put it here, the file is not displayed. That's fine because it's a zip file, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to go into. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but basically trying to give you this so that if you're already trying to go forward, this will help you. Okay, so main resources, and then application properties. Okay, there are two things that you need to enter here. Okay, which is the username and the password, and this was basically the client ID and the client secret that you got when you generated the application token. I think Stefano showed how you can save it, right? You're going to put that in. So this is going to happen in the next step, but I wanted to provide you with a heads up earlier, and I'll switch back to Stefano, who will show you how to bring up the Git part. Okay. You want to do that, Stefano, or you want me to do it? Stefano, we can't hear you, I think.
Right, sorry. Okay, so back to, I was saying, sorry. Another piece of information needed to connect from the Quarkus application is the Secure Connect bundle. We didn't mention yet properly, so Rags were showing that. And this is something also. This is also something needed to properly connect. It contains a bunch of certificates and other pieces. So it's a zip file that we will have to get over to Gitpod for the application to work in Gitpod. Now, very quickly, I'll go to my workshops database here and I'll hit connect. Rags, did you already show that very quickly, right? So
yes, I did.
Okay,
yeah.
that comes later in the README. It's step 5b, as I wrote in the chat.
Doing it again.
Connect. So I'm in my workshops database. I go to connect. Today we are going to be Java. So there is, you see here a lot of different ways to connect with AstraDB. I go to Java and I'm given an option here, download your Secure Connect bundle. This is really just a file that I'm able to download here. And this file, if you connect to AstraDB, to your database through Java, will be needed. And that's so it encodes a lot of of tiny configuration parameters that make the connection to Astra easy in one step. So it contains certificates, region name, you see everything needed. So I'm just downloading a zip file. Is it here? I'll save it somewhere. Now I have to say I'm not familiar with Windows, so I have no idea where this file went, but I will be able to find it. Now back to Gitpod. So this Secure Connect bundle is actually described here below. So if you're doing that if you're following it by yourself, you will find it, I think, here in step 5b. Here it's described, but now let's go back to where we were. So Gitpod. Now, what is Gitpod? It is this very nice and easy to use IDE in a browser. And to open Gitpod, now I have to, okay, let me close this. To open Gitpod, you just have to open this link in new tab. So you see this big button open in Gitpod in the README. You just right click or middle click, whatever, and open link in new tab. Ta-da! You see, now I'm about to start with Gitpod here. I can log in, and I prefer to do that with GitHub, which you haven't seen it, but it has opened a small temporary new window to negotiate authentication through GitHub. But the final point is that you see I have my own Gitpod instance starting up. And now what happens behind the scenes with this simple click on the button is a new Gitpod instance is created for me. A repository is cloned for me in this IDE in the cloud. And you see an interface very similar to Visual Studio Code is open for me. I have a file browser on the left. I have a file editor here above, and I have a nice console here below. And the console is now running stuff. You see, maybe, I hope you can appreciate what is written here. I see downloading this and that, in progress, repackaging. So there are some initial setup commands that are running for us. So nothing to do here. While this works, maybe I'll just show again how do you drag and drop. You remember the secure bundle that was very nicely downloaded from the Astra UI. Now here, I hope you can see it. I cannot make it bigger, sorry, for some reason. But I think you can see the Secure Connect Workshops zip file here. I know it might look very tiny, but this is my local computer. And now I just take this zip file and I will drag and drop it here on the left file browser in Gitpod. You see the panel become light blue, and if I drop it, ta-da! The zip file is there for me in Gitpod, ready for me to use. So this is all we need from Astra UI. We have a token that contains client ID, client secret, and the token itself. and we downloaded the secure bundle and we brought it over to Gitpod. Now, with that, I'll leave that again. I'll leave that back to Rags for the following. Are you ready with your Gitpod? I think mine is also ready.
Yeah, mine is ready.
Okay,
yeah,
so let me give it back to you, if that's okay.
I haven't put the username and password, but we'll walk through the step anyway, right? So that's good.
You mean the client, secret and client ID?
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
You have them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do I have the right one here? I'm looking at the wrong one. No, I'm looking at the wrong one. All right, this is the one that I'm looking at. So let me get rid of this. I don't need this. So people able to see my screen? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, your screen is on screen.
Yeah. Okay. So what I what Stefano did was kind of talk about Gitpod, and talk about what are this is where in 3 is where you're going to be interacting the most. This is the terminal window. 2 is kind of like where you can edit the files, and this is of course the Explorer window on the left. Okay, all of this is explained if you haven't used Gitpod before. But I don't want to dwell too much on that because that's the easy part. Now let's set up our application, right? So the easiest way to do it is, just do this. Open source main resources application properties. Application properties is the file that we're going to be using a lot, right? So let me go into my Gitpod, okay? And I already have it open, but I'm going to use the command anyway, okay? And the first time around when you want to put something in the clipboard, it might ask you, see text and images copied to the clipboard, just say hello, okay, so that it allows you. Okay, and now what I have to do is I have to put the username and the password, okay? So let me see if I have it here. I think I had it somewhere here. Okay, so here's my client ID. Okay, so I copy it back to my username, right? And then my client secret. Okay, so let me go here and copy this. Okay, so I basically do a copy of that and put it in here, and you're good to go. That's it. That's all you need, okay? Because we already connected the zip file, and you essentially did the username and the password, and now we are able to connect to Quarkus database, okay? So one of the cool things about Gitpod is it does an autosave. Okay, and now we are ready for business. The first thing we're so let's see if we can get here, because this is a step that takes a while. So let's give everybody about maybe 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes maybe, right? So that everybody is comfortable with this. As soon as you do this, give a thumbs up, okay?
Yeah, Rags,
So
sorry, in the meantime, while we wait these 2 minutes, there is a question in the chat about what exactly is this being downloaded?
Oh yeah.
I think it's a runtime, right? It's a modern version of a Java JVM.
Exactly. Yeah. What we are downloading is the Graal VM and the Java VM, obviously. The best way to look at that is you can do an echo $Java home, like something like this.
Yeah.
And that will tell you. Okay, where the Java paths are and so on. So I see that a couple of people already already gave a thumbs up. So go ahead and do this. We'll wait for a few minutes because I know that this takes a while, a little bit of time at least. Yeah. So let's wait for a few. And if you're having trouble, I know that one Akif, you had a problem, right? So Akif, if you want to let us know what the error message is, that'll help. Oh, there it is. VS Code is not synced. Oh yeah, you can ignore that. I don't think it's a problem. But if you want to, I think it might ask you to reload VS Code. You can do that as well. So.
Yeah.
Perfect. We're seeing a lot of thumbs up. That's good. There's still a lot of people watching this and following along. So I'll wait for a few more minutes, and then we can do the first step. Okay.
Okay, I see more and more thumbs up piling up.
Yeah.
So Someone went, Anshul went to 4, 5, 6 in a row. So congratulations,
yeah,
you're way ahead of us.
right.
Good, good.
And that's cool because typically what I've done with many of my hands-on lab is I've spoken for a half an hour and then let attendees loose because each person has their own pace of doing it. But in DataStax, what we do is we try to wait at some logical points. So if you feel like you want to go ahead, feel free to go ahead. If you feel like you're lagging behind and want to do it later, that's fine too. But I think the ideal thing is just kind of follow along as much as you can.
Rodrigo, I think you are at the homework. That should be, if I'm not mistaken, the last step. So congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations.
But no,
indeed.
seriously, yeah, okay. Something that can we afford another minute before we go ahead, so everybody has time to edit their application properties, maybe, because that's an important thing. At the end of today's workshop, we will be leaving a small homework for you to do. And yeah, okay, probably you might need some more guidance about the homework or not, depending on on your level of knowledge and patience. So okay, you'll wait. Anyway, if when this workshop will be over and you will be maybe still doing the homework, you might want to reach us to ask for guidance or for help or whatever. So please join us on Discord, where the discussion can continue even after this live is over. So this is where the long-term discussion goes on. So please join our Discord community. We are there. There's a lot of people and a lot of topics going on. All more or less Astra and Cassandra related, but in a broad sense. Okay. And by the way, those of you who complete the homework and submit it to us through a GitHub issue, as explained in the README, you will be awarded a nice badge that you can then brag about all over. So yeah, a completion badge. I'm not sure about the dark theme in Gitbot. There probably is, but I have no idea. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say about the homework.
So I just want to, you can see these two windows pop up right here. Service is available on port 8080, a service is available on port 5005. You can just ignore those. Those are informational, okay? So basically it's opening those ports. 5005 is used for debugging and the 8080 is used to access the application, okay? So you'll see that. Yes, there is a dark theme in Gitpod and you can get to it. I'd like to see on the chat if anybody is having any issues so that we can proceed with the next step. And you probably already saw me doing it on the screen, but if you're not, let me know. Proceed. Okay, I want to. Okay, that's fine. And that is fine because what I suggested you do is bring it up, and once the application is running, it will be fine. Yes, you can. Anshul, you can use IntelliJ, although we will be using Visual VS Code here. So, I don't know if you saw the instructions right up front. We are not going to be able to support that. Different kind of install. We really have only 2 hours, and we want to be able to support just the standard happy path, like Stefano was mentioning.
Yeah. So you can totally run locally everything, but that's an advanced thing because you will have to, troubleshoot yourself.
Is anybody having trouble, or should we just go ahead? If anybody is having trouble, just put it in the chat right now so that we can help you. Looks like we did a good job with the instructions and with the demo. Nobody seems to be having trouble. So let's proceed with the next step, right?
Proceed, please.
What do you think, Stefano?
Let's.
All right. So let's go ahead and look at the next step, which is basically, we'll run the test. Okay, so we set up the application because we set up the application properties. I set up the client ID, secret, and so on. And now we're going to run the unit test. Very simple to run unit test. Unfortunately, we're going to be only doing this one test. Quarkus framework is fantastic for testing, but really we don't have too much time here. Maybe it's a follow-on workshop. Okay. So you can see me talking about this follow-on workshop because the platform is so big, it's not possible to cover all of that today, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run the test, okay? And you can see here the test, right? and hopefully you'll see all greens and no reds. Okay, and it's downloading a whole bunch of stuff. Like, what do we say? Maven downloads the entire world, something like that, right? But eventually, you should be able to see this test running. Okay, so if the test is running, you should be able to see something like this, table created. So automatically it creates the table for you. And if you go back into the Astra dashboard and look through SQL, you can see all this yourself. But this is just an empty table that you can start using. Okay. So please give me a thumbs up once you finish this this part, which is, I believe, what is it, exercise 5, 6, whatever. It was exercise 6.
6A.
So I think we are almost. Yeah. So if you can just say 6S, I think it's good.
Yeah. So you should be able to see the table created through in the output after running all tests.
Right. If you just do this, copy the one command, right, and run that, it'll tell you exactly that, because otherwise you'll have to wait through all this output, right?
Yeah, it's taking
So if I
2
just
minutes
look-
after all. The whole test suite takes, what, 2 minutes anyway?
You probably at the most, yeah. First time around it's a little bit slower.
Yeah.
It's really, I think 17.2 seconds, not even that, right? So you can see here, all that I got was the table created true. If you don't get this, then there's no point in advancing. Okay, let me know. All right.
Yeah, so maybe we can ask for a few thumbs up if you guys managed to see the table created true, which means that the test went through all right and the table was created.
Don't want to hurry any of you, but I think this is a pretty straightforward step.
Yeah. So
one of the other things that I want to talk about is sometimes what happens is, in Gitpod, you make sure that you are at the terminal window. Because sometimes my cursor is here, and I think I'm typing in the terminal, and I'm actually typing in the editor window. And that will screw up everything, especially if you have the POM file. Like, let's say I have the POM file, and you put like a Q here or something. You're thinking you're typing in the terminal, and you put a Q, you have no idea where it went. That will screw up everything, okay? So just keep that in back of the mind. So we're getting to the really cool part, which is the live coding, the hot reloading, the debugging part. Once we have this done, and then it should be smooth sailing from there on, hopefully.
Let me just mention one thing, just for fun. If you manage to get to the table created through output, maybe don't do that now, but if you go to the Astra UI and connect even with the SQL console, for those who know what it is, if you go to the key space, you will see that a table has been indeed created with some columns. So, and that will be the table used by the application later. So everything matches. Sorry.
Exactly. So for those of you who are kind of following along, that's fine. But for those of you who are a little bit advanced, you may want to go to the SQL dashboard and kind of look around, play around with it. Maybe add a few entries there, because a typical microservice, right? You will get input from other services. So think of the SQL session as like a microservice adding entries into your to-do. I gave an example of where my coach says, go ahead and do this, right? And I drop everything and I go ahead and do that, right? So that's kind of what it is. Anybody stuck? If you're stuck, please let us know. We are here to help as much as we can.
I think it's all right.
So let's proceed with the next step, okay, which is basically the Quarkus dev and the hot reloading part. This is kind of the coolest part, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to skip tests here, okay, and go back to the Git part, okay, and again the terminal window, and just run the Quarkus dev and skip tests, okay. And Danielle, let me know if there are some parts that need to be featured, but I'm gonna try to show most of this. Okay, so this is the cool part. Just by hitting one button, right? You can get help, right? And you can open the application in the browser by just hitting the W. You can see here, W is going to open the application in the browser. D is going to open the dev UI in the browser. You can force a restart. You can show this help, or you can quit this application. So there are a number of things you can do. I'm just going to hit W just for the heck of it. Okay, and you'll see that this application is up and running. Okay. So right there, very cool, right? Now, what I'm going to do is just show you how the hot reloading part works. Typically what I would do is I will have a browser which is actually looking for the changes. So I'll have to refresh this myself in today's demo. But you typically won't have to, if you set up your browser that way. Okay. So let me go into main. Where am I? I'm kind of losing track here. Okay. No, resources, right? All right, sorry. Just give me a second. I think it's main resources, metainf, okay, and index.html, okay. So look at index.html, okay, and I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of this, okay, because I don't need to, and I'm going to get rid of this as well, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at index.html, okay, and I'll make a very small change, just as an illustrative change, okay. So you make sure you do it on the data ribbon, okay, and just instead of fork me on GitHub, I'm going to do a fork me today on GitHub, okay, and that's all. This is auto saved for me with Gitpod, and if I do a W again, notice here you will see fork me today coming up here, okay. So before that it was just fork me on GitHub. Now it's fork me today on GitHub. A lot of things happened under the hood, and I don't really care what happened because the Quarkus platform took care of all that, right? It basically noticed the change. It went ahead and rebuilt the jars or whatever it was required, and deployed the application and stood it up and provided me the application. So again, a lot of envy from Java programmers looking at other languages which provided this support, but today you can do it in Java, using the Quarkus platform. Okay, very cool. So Daniel, I don't know if you want to add anything more to this. The next exercise kind of talks about getting Quarkus metrics, and all that you need to do here is just press D, okay, and then you can kind of look at. If you look at the config editor, right, it'll kind of go through my application properties. The endpoint that we use here is /q/dev. So if you want to add it yourself, you can do that as well. But just pressing D, took me there, and the README kind of talks through all that. So it tells you, what Quarkus application version, but more importantly, let's see what would be interesting here. What is the key space, right? What are the metrics that are enabled? And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You
Hey
can help
Rex,
yourself.
hey Rex, mind if
Please.
we add some comment on there?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure. So in WI, in a configuration editor, so whenever you change something value in the WI, it automatically apply for your application property on your local file system automatically. So you don't
Nice.
need to go back to your IDE tool to change the value because you already changed in the WI. It's automatically changed in your local file system at the same time. And also when you edited some key clock and like a database or like a GraphQL or like a Qt is a presentation, a Quarks template extension. You can have own WI with some GUI, something like such as Swagger UI. So you don't need to install the third-party application to go through the web UI because Quarkus WI automatically provides that capability as embedded way.
Perfect. Yeah, this is great. So if anything, what I'd like you to do is kind of do these two steps, which is 7. And I'm going to get to 8 in a second, which is really about the debugging part. Okay, but please give me a thumbs up once you're done with 7. So Anshul was asking, does the change in properties get hot replaced as well? Yes, right? Perfect. Rodrigo is done. Very cool. Step 7 done. Fantastic. So we'll get to the homework in a little bit, Ambedkar. Just hold off on that.
Yeah, anyway,
All
the
right,
answer is
so-
yes.
Yeah, right.
So the changes
All
in the
right, so let's-
application in the dev UI are immediately effective. And I managed to break my authentication by testing that now. So yeah, it works.
Exactly. Yeah. Correct. So this is great. So anybody stuck in step 7? Because step 7 is the coolest part. I don't want anybody to lose out on that. All right. So should I get to step 8? I think we're rolling along here, right? Very cool, right? What do you think, Stefano?
Yeah.
Step 8? All right. So let's go to step 8. Step 8 is pretty straightforward. Let me kind of walk through the steps first. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Explorer view and set a breakpoint, okay? You set a breakpoint, and then what you're going to do is you're going to run a Quarkus dev, and then start the debugging session. And you're going to make a very simple change, okay? And you'll see that in a second. Okay, you'll see that your breakpoints are going to show up, and instead of the debugging whatever, I'm going to change it to the proper spelling, and that's all that I'm doing here. Okay, but Quarkus is a lot more powerful. You can do a lot more stuff, including hard code replacement. Okay, so you can change the code, as and when, which is like changing the tires as the application is moving. But we're not going to go through all that. We're just going to go through the simple step. Okay, so let's try to do that. Okay, so I'm going to quit out of this. You don't need to, okay, but I always like to start from scratch. Okay, so what you can do is, again, kind of run the same thing. I'm going to skip tests. Okay, but before I do that, let me see if I set up the breakpoint. Okay, to set up the breakpoint, again, very straightforward. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure I set it at the right place. Okay, so I go in here, go to the terminal window, okay, and voila, it's here, right? And all that I need to do is go to line 60. I don't even and hit this stop button, and you'll turn red. You will see that, right? So if the red means that it's good to go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my application, and then I realize, oh, oops, I need to set a breakpoint, and I set the breakpoint, and I'm ready to go, right? Notice here, it's using 5005, which is really the debug port that it's using, okay? And it's a standard JMX thing that, any of you are using Java, you probably used this before, right? Get rid of this, not worry about that, right? I've set the breakpoint, right? Now the next step to do is to start the application debugging. To do the application debugging, maybe I didn't set, give the instructions properly, but first you have to hit the run and debug, and then hit the debug. Okay, so there are 2 steps. Okay, so you hit the start debugging. Okay, and you'll see the debug call stack screen coming up, and where are the breakpoints, and so on. At this point, nothing is happening, right? Why? Because the it's not really hit the breakpoint. Okay, so let me bring up the application again. Okay, and what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to enter something. Okay, so I'm going to enter debugging, right? And hopefully, as everything is right, it should hit the breakpoint. Did you see they hit the breakpoint here? It hit line 60. Okay, and now you can look at everything in here. Okay, the first thing to do is probably click on to do, and you can see here the value. So click on that and basically fix it properly. Okay, is that the right spelling? No, debugging, right? So once you've corrected that, hit debugging, and then there is this small arrow in the middle, okay, which is basically continue. You can see if you hover over that, it says continue, or you can use F5. If you hit continue, okay, it should come up. Okay, and now if you go back and look at the application, right, it should hopefully have that debugging part. Okay, voila, bingo, right? Very cool, right? Just like that, we were able to do debugging. And Daniel has some pretty advanced examples where he does this hot code replacement. You're welcome to try that. I'm sure he'll have a pointer to that, or at least talk about it, later. So let me give everybody like 2 or 3 minutes, because 7 and 8 are probably the most critical parts of the workshop. So I'll let you guys try this out. Give like 2 or 3 minutes here. If whenever you finish exercise 7, if you can put a thumbs up, exercise 7, that'll be great. Where did we configure the port for debugging? That's a good question. And let me see if I can. Let's see. There's something I missed anyway. So I'm going to go back to the Explorer screen. Okay, and in VS Code, okay, there is a launch JSON. Okay, you'll see here that this is where I configured the debug port. I mean, it doesn't have to be 5005, although that's kind of a standard thing. Thank you, Anshu. If anybody is stuck on step 8, please let us know. We'll try to help. Any comments meantime, Daniel, on debugging or the hot code replacement, any of those?
Yeah, for sure. So Quarkus actually provide the remote dev as well. So you're actually using your local dev mode, so you can run Quarkus application on your local machine. It just monitor your local JVM. But you can actually deploy the Quarkus application to remote Kubernetes. It will be running in pod. But when you run your remote dev on your local machine, it automatically connect to your remote Quarkus pod. Whenever you change the code, it will automatically packaging and sending it to your remote pod on Kubernetes, automatically restart. And also you could use a remote debugging capability on Kubernetes from your local machine. So same capability, remote dev, same capability like a live coding and a debugging, just reg showcased. You can use the same capability on Kubernetes from your local machine. So you can say remote, remote dev and remote debugging. This is to expand your inner-loop development capability, because the Kubernetes is not just your production, but also you can consider the Kubernetes in your local development, like a DevOps pipeline or a DevOps platform, something like that.
I don't know if I understand Anshul's question. It seems the config is where we will connect for debug. Where is the configuration specified for the debug port? It's in VS Code. If you look in your Gitpod editor, .vs Code, and then there is a launch.json. Okay, that's where it is. Okay, I don't know if I answered the question. Anybody stuck on step 8? Anybody finished up step 8? If you can put a thumbs up, you'll know that we can proceed. The last part takes a little bit of time, so what I would suggest we do is skip everything and go to the last part, because that takes about 8 to 10 minutes. If that's okay with Stefano, or what we can do is we can run that and then run Menti.
Yeah, we have 25 minutes left. It should be.
Yeah.
I think that's the last part, right? So there should be time to do all of it.
Perfect. Can we see a few more thumbs up for step 8? Are people already done, or? In a normal Java application, we first specify the port in the JVM or yes, you can do that that way as well. There are a number of different ways of doing this, but this was done. This is a question that Anshu asked, which is, no, actually in normal Java application, we first specify the port in the JVM arguments where debug port will be hosted. Yes, you can do that as well. And that's exactly what Visual Studio Code is doing. It's using the launch.json to be able to kind of send those parameters, to Java. Okay, I see, got it. Yeah, Anshul is basically clarifying in our IDE configure the remote debug, which can be considered as client connecting to the debug port. Yeah, I mean, I know there are lots of moving parts here. We kind of took the easy path again. Okay. So let me continue with the next part. Is that good? The next part is the easiest part. All that we do here is we do the packaging, I believe. That's kind of what, we did the breakpoint part. We did the debugging part. We saw the watch, and we saw how we fixed, did a very simple debugging. Now we package it up as a jar file. Okay, very straightforward. All that I do is I package it up by using the target minus package, right? Or clean package, and that's it. Okay, not minus package, but Maven clean package. Okay, I don't need to do clean every time. I can just do package, and it should, pick up the right things and all that. But let's not worry too much about that. How do I run this? Like any jar file, right? All that it creates the runnable jar file, right? And it should already be in target Quarkus app, hopefully, right? And actually, let me show that in action. What I'm going to do is I'll make sure that I'll do a Maven clean. Okay, let's look at target. Okay, there's no such file or directory, right? So now if I run the clean package skip test, okay, and if I do the same thing, now if I look at target, there is a whole bunch of things that are generated. The one that I'm really interested is the Quarkus app, right? And if I look at that, you'll see here the Quarkus run.jar, right? And all that I need to do to run this is say Java minus jar and target, right? And Quarkus app run.jar. I'm sorry, Quarkus run.jar. Okay, and you'll see the same application up and running. Okay, pretty straightforward. So you can see here, table created, all that, and it's good. Okay. So sometimes, the to-do list app kind of uses a session ID. So if you go into a different browser, then essentially what it does is it's assuming that it's a different person. So the to-do list kind of starts from scratch. So if you lose some entries, don't worry about it. But my suggestion is just stick to the same browser. That way you can see the same to-do list. It's not the greatest of optimizations, but it seems to work in most cases. So please give me a thumbs up. This shouldn't take more than like half a minute. Okay, when you're done with step, was it 8? Step 8. No, step 9, sorry. We're coming to the cooler parts. Still, there are some cool parts left, which is the containerizing part and the packaging part. So we started with Astra, used the token, plugged it into the application.properties, looked at the hot reloading, looked at debugging, looked at packaging, and next we're going to look at containerizing. And the last coolest part is kind of packaging it up as a native application, okay, which takes a little bit of time. So I just want to give you a heads up right now. If you want to run it right now, that's fine too. It shouldn't matter really. Yes, Darsek, the video recordings are going to be available. It's the same link.
So in the meantime, I see an answer about use of Vertex by Anshul. Rags, do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'll turn it over to Daniel. Daniel, you're still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So the question is, I see the logs use of Vertex. Does Quarkus internally use Vert.x for routing like dispatcher, servlet, and Spring?
Yeah, that's a good question. Does Quarkus actually provide the reactive capability built on Vertex for networking features as well as reactive programming? So that's why you can see a lot of the Vertex logs when you in the Quarkus runtime.
Yes. So it does use Vert.x or Vert, however you want to call it.
Cool.
Okay. So let's get to the containerizing part. Anybody having trouble? Let us know. If you finished it, as always, would love to see a lot of thumbs up. That way we know that you're doing well. And like I said, it shouldn't take too long. Like 3 seconds, 30 seconds. Sorry, not 3. Stefano, your call. Should I proceed?
Yeah, so containerization is what, 10 minutes or so, right?
Right.
So
Right. So let me see. I think I may have picked up
I
the
think
wrong one
you
here.
can
I
afford
made some
that.
edits.
I think you
Okay.
can afford.
Yeah, it probably not even 10 minutes. We use something called as a zip plugin, okay, for containerization. So we're using a zip plugin for easy container. There are other plugins, or you can do it manually. But I am a strong believer in a loop and using that, So let me show you here. If you just do let me clear the screen. If you just do a grep -i jib, okay, in pom.xml, you will see that we include this container, Quarkus container image jib, and that takes care of a lot of things for me. It essentially allows me to build the application. It allows me to push the container. If I'm using Kubernetes, it let me download it from whatever repository, Docker Hub or Quay or wherever, whatever, and does all of this automatically for me. It's a very cool plugin, not necessarily to use with Quarkus, but you can use it with other platforms as well. So let's look at Docker images. Nothing here, right? So let's go back and try to generate the image. Okay. So very straightforward. The one thing you have to do here is make sure you do the step, which is like, essentially jib is going to be able to take our secure connect. Remember that? Bundle and stand it up in the container and put it in the container. If you don't do this step, then your authentication will fail. You can try that, but in the interest of keeping this flowing, I'm going to run this. Here I'm only doing a build. I'm not doing anything else, okay? So I'm doing a build. Let me do a build. Again, all that I do is cut and paste, okay? But take a moment to kind of read through the instructions, right? Because that kind of tells you a little bit more. Okay, and you can see here there is some kind of like cryptic, long, unique ID, right? And this is, as you may expect, basically the Docker images. So if you kind of do the Docker images, you should probably be able to see that. Maybe there is a correlation between the two, or maybe there is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But you'll see here you have git part Quarkus Cassandra. How do I run it? Very straightforward. Again, all that I do is like running any Docker image. I run this. Okay, so go back here and run the Docker image. How does it run? Exactly the same way. There you go. Quarkus is running now in a container. So we containerized it. Okay, very straightforward. Again, same thing. You can, if you go to 8080, you will be able to see the application. So let me click on it. Okay, just let me run it here. No, it's not localhost, right? It's this one. / So hopefully this should work. No, that's 8080. Let me run this again. Okay, and there it is. Okay, that makes sense. All right, let's go ahead and do that containerization part. I'm going to skip the next part, which is really about pushing it to, to Docker. Okay, so I only did the run, the Docker login part. I'm just going to make it optional for now because we just don't have the time to do that. And also you have to do a Docker login and all that, which I can do, but but some of the cool things here that I am not talking to you about, maybe I should demonstrate this. Let me do this anyway. And then, I don't want you to do this step because this is going to take a little bit of time. Okay. But if you feel like you really want to do it, that's fine too. Go ahead and do it. Okay. So I have to do a Docker login. Okay. And let me put in my username and password. Okay. So I'm good to go now. Login succeeded, right? You should see the login succeeded. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is here, not only am I building, but I'm also pushing this. Okay, now I'm pushing it to Docker IO. Okay, so if I go here, let me actually go to Docker IO. Okay, and I'm going to log in. You can see that, I have a Quarkus Cassandra, which is updated like 2 days ago. Okay. And if I push this, hopefully you should see the latest one here. Okay, so this is, what did I do? What did I miss here? Username. Oh. Okay, so that's good that, okay, yeah, because I didn't put in my Docker username, right? I'd forgotten the instructions. So you'll have to substitute this with the, with your own username. Okay, so in my case it's ragsns. Okay, so hopefully this should work. Okay, so essentially what it's doing now, it's building and essentially pushing it to Docker Hub. You'll probably see that in action here. And this is the nice thing about the JIB processor. If it didn't work, seems like it came through really quickly, so I'm not quite sure if it did it. Oh, there it is. Okay, a few seconds ago, right? So now you can use it in Kubernetes. You can use it anywhere you want because now it's available in Docker Hub. If you want to use my image and stand up your Kubernetes cluster, you can do that. You can just use ragsns Quarkus Cassandra, except that it'll connect to my to-do list. Okay, and you can put whatever you want in my to-do list and make it happen. Yeah. Okay, but you kind of get the idea. Okay. So let's see how we are doing with respect to time. I will do the native also, and what I suggest you do is, because we don't have too much time, we will run this native. I want to be sure that all of you are able to run this native, and then we'll jump straight into Menti. Does it sound like a plan, Stefano?
Yeah. So we have. I don't think we have time to do much more, so maybe Correct. You can just outline what's going to happen, and that might be left as an exercise for the homework.
So Maven package minus pnative is all that you need to do, okay? And what's going to happen here is it's going to build a. I should have skipped the test, but that's fine. So it takes a little bit of time for the test, which really is not required. So this is going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to let it run. And if you guys want to do this as well, just let it go. And then what we can do is we can walk through the remaining slides, right? And then do the Menti. Is that good?
Yeah, we have 10 minutes
so I'm going to
now,
let this go. So. Yeah, I'm going to let this go. This is going to probably take 8 minutes, and you guys can do this as well. This is the last step, which is, I believe, what is it? The native part, which is a step 11. Yeah. Okay, and this is the coolest part, believe me. Okay, because I'll come back to this.
Yeah.
In a little. Okay.
Yeah, the native image is cool. Just one thing, a quick thing. Maybe Rags mentioned that the manifest for running in Kubernetes is generated for you, so you can just use that, and you will be ready to deploy in Kubernetes. That's a partial answer to a question by Rodrigo, who asks us to show the Kubernetes deployment. Unfortunately, there will be probably no time for that, but I don't know, Rags, what do you think? Please, they can maybe reach us on Discord if they run into other.
Right.
To go more in
pretty
detail.
Straightforward. So let me show that here. Okay. Actually, that's a great point. Okay, so I can definitely show that.
Maybe you can
because
open the
that's
YAML just to show that it is a fully fledged
correct. Yeah,
deployment ready
that's
to.
exactly what I'm doing here.
Great.
Okay, so the last part in 10 is to be able to open the YAML. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open the YAML, which already got generated, right? Okay, and here's the YAML, right? So essentially, it does everything automatically for you. Okay, so it put the Quarkus Cassandra. Okay, the only part that it's missing is my name here, and that is missing because I didn't do that. The build, right? So if you do the build is equal to true, it'll work. Okay. So I think I did not do that, but I'll show that in action in a little bit. But it'll put everything, and all that you need to do to stand this up is essentially. So let me actually do that and see if that works. So which is Maven. Oh, let me go back here. Push to Docker Hub. Instead of push, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this, okay? And I'm not going to clean because I don't want the other one to fail, okay? So I kind of take some shortcuts here, right? Oh.
Yeah. In the meantime, there is also a question about.
Okay, I did want to do that, and
sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, keep talking. Yeah.
Sorry, there is just a question about what Kubernetes cluster should you use for deployment for the homework. I think, Rax, correct me if I'm wrong. I think any Kubernetes cluster should do. So whether it's local kind or play with Kubernetes probably also should go this playground in the cloud, or any Kubernetes cluster should be able to deploy it. And I think it's rather simple manifest, so probably there are no version problems. It's probably any version of Kubernetes relatively modern should work.
It should. Yeah. In theory, it should, and I've tried it on a lot of these as well. For some reason, I'm not getting the rags and S, but I'll worry about that later. Okay. Yeah, I shouldn't really be doing the Git part, but it should actually prefix it with my name. Maybe there's a bug that I need to fix, but I know I've seen this before. So actually, what I can do is bring up my Visual Studio. This is my local, and what you can see here is essentially the same. Okay, and target, right, and Kubernetes at YAML. Okay, so you'll see here it should have something like this, rags and S. Okay, so so that the entire image is there. Okay, and pretty straightforward. You can kind of figure that out. But let me go back to my Git part.
So yes, VM, I think Minikube, kind, whatever provides a local Kubernetes cluster should be good to go.
Yeah, anything, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I've installed for Kubernetes thing.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can use any Kubernetes cluster like a Minikube or any like AKS, EKS, just to make sure to log in that specific namespace before you run the Kubernetes YAML file. And also, Quarkus provide OpenShift processor, the S2I processor as well, which means you don't need to use run kubectl with the YAML file, because Maven clean package command line automatically trigger the deployment to OpenShift cluster, like even Kubernetes cluster as well.
Okay. So there's pretty much a freedom here to choose your own.
Yep, that's true.
So let me see if I have something running already. Sometimes I do. So let me show this. So I'm using Doc Desktop here, okay? And if I look at pods, okay. So I don't know what's going on. So let's not worry too much about that right now, okay? So cube context, Minikube. Oh, maybe I'm not running my local, I'm not running my Docker desktop because I have so many other windows running. Yeah. So you get the idea though. All right.
We can get more in details on the Kubernetes part if you reach us later on Discord. Let me drop the link again just so
Yes.
you might join.
So the part that I really wanted to show was the native image. So if you want to run this native image, it's very straightforward. All that you're going to do is you're going to say target, right? And then you'll see here, it has generated something called as a Quarkus Astra demo runner, right? And you want to run this, you just say Astra demo 0.1 runner, right? And this is running. Goodbye JVM. JVM is gone. It's running as a local image, which is really, really, really cool, right? You can see already that it was so fast to start, right? And you know, you can package this up in a Docker container as well if you want, and it'll be so fast. You know, again, table created is true. And if I go back to my hit part again, you'll see, you know, the application is up and running. Okay. So hopefully that kind of gave a complete idea. If anybody finished the native packaging as well, you know, just put a thumbs up there. Looks like Vyom Rastogi finished it. So give it 2 minutes and then we'll do the Minty. What do you want to do?
Yeah,
Stefano.
yeah, probably it's almost time,
we are
so
up
we
time.
should better start with the Menti in 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay, so please gather up. You know, don't look at the screen, but look at your device or wherever you are running Menti, because there is a lag. And let me give you a heads up that the first question is you can answer anything, okay? And it's fine. So please, again, you know, jump back into Menti.
Yes. So
okay, the first question is like a simple question.
okay, just
you can answer anything. Okay, so you know, believe me, it'll work.
pick your choice.
But just so that you're fast.
So let's
okay?
just make sure
and after
everyone is connecting through Menti. I see people there, so it's the same. It's the same connection that you should probably have kept open from earlier. Let me paste the link again, the code in the chat, and I also have to say there are a few unanswered questions. So, but we are pretty low on time, so we kindly suggest you join us on Discord, and there will be time to go asynchronously over all of your unanswered questions about Kubernetes and the relation between the secure bundle and the user ID, user secret, and all that. But now let's play the game, because there are some prizes.
Let's play the game, because that's what you're waiting for.
I think we can go.
All right.
Okay, so how many are connected? I see more and more. Yes, so I think we can start. There are 5 or 6 questions, if I'm not mistaken. And now let me remind you that you not only have to answer correct, but you have to answer fast, because faster equal more points. More points to win.
And question 0, you can answer anything so that you can flex your muscle. Okay, so go ahead and do it. Okay.
So get ready, and please look at your phone, because if you watch YouTube, there is a few seconds delay, and that would penalize you. So please look at your phone, answer looking at your phone.
Oh, this is wrong. Oh, this is right. Yeah. Okay.
So what is?
So I just put it in. I just put it in just for fun.
Yeah.
I think everything is cool, right? You know that.
Yeah. But answer.
3, 2, 1, 0.
What is a cool
up.
feature of today's workshop? And the answers are Astra. That's pretty cool. Quarkus, it's very cool. Gitpod is cool. All of them. Yeah. This was a funny question, because every answer was accepted as valid. So
that's valid. Exactly.
I think you can press forward arrow to get to the leaderboard.
Let's go to the next leaderboard.
And
see, despite the fact that all of you got it right, you know, Anshul was really fast, and the difference is very negligible. So hopefully you'll pick up. Okay.
But Anshul is the fastest, and he's been also very active in the chat. So yeah, we appreciate that. You ask a lot of questions, and let's move on.
Let's move on.
Next question. This is a real question, so pay attention and be fast.
Exactly. Yeah. And don't look at the screen, just look at Menti.
Yeah. So
fast. Oops.
yeah,
Sorry.
answer fast.
I moved that.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm going to be back.
Okay.
I think I may have screwed this up. I may have.
Yeah, I think you can still go to question number 2.
Okay. Question 2.
Okay.
So fast. Back again.
Okay. So
All right, let's skip that.
yeah,
right?
let's move
And
to
let's
question
go-
number 3. Not clear what
Maybe.
happened.
Yeah, not clear what happened there. Question 3.
Press enter to start countdown. That should be it.
Okay.
Which port did the debugger use?
Is it 80? Is it 3000? Is it 5005 or 9000? Seems like it could be any of them, right?
Yeah. So let's see. Time is up. And the right answer
Fantastic.
is
A lot of people got it right.
5005. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. So let's see.
All right, moving on.
You should.
The leaderboard.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some changes here. I'm thinking.
Probably. Well, it's nice to see that you all paid attention. Most
Anshul
of
was
you.
fastest
And
again.
Anshul keeps the position. Whoa. Tie break with Georgie. Fastest, both of them. Great. Anshul, Georgie,
Nice.
and Jean-Pierre.
I don't think I've seen a fastest two people. It
Sometimes
seems
it
like
happens.
it always.
It's split millisecond answer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Question 4. I'm going to hit enter. Answer fast.
To get
And
more
answer correct.
points. What was the target
What?
used for hot reloading?
Was it clean? Was it Quarkus :dev? Was it package? Was it hot reload?
Answers are coming. And time is almost up. And the right answer was Quarkus dev.
Exactly.
Yeah, it seems like you did a great job explaining things because almost everyone gets the right answer. That's good.
Or I did a bad job of kind of picking the questions, right? I need to make it a little more challenging. Maybe next time. All right. But I think let's see if the leaderboard has changed. If the leaderboard hasn't changed, I need to do a
No, but I
better
think
job.
our attendees have been doing a great job following along, and now it's time to relax with a nice game. So that's
Yes.
great. And
Anshul is still leading.
yeah, and
Even
Kaja
though he's not
jumps
the
to
fastest.
second position. Remind that the first 3 position will get a prize. And what a prize this time. Special prize. So
Very cool, yeah. Should I proceed?
yeah. So Anshul, Kaya, and Sarah.
Question 5 or 7. So we have
There's still time to change everything in the leaderboard.
completely changed the leaderboard. Exactly. Answer fast and do it right.
Yeah, this is a good question. And I remember Daniel pointing that out in particular. It's a clever way to work with the Quarkus metrics. Nice. And it is,
Time's up.
let's see.
Oh, that was a tricky one.
Yeah. That was tricky. And
So I guess we didn't talk too much about this, but I'm sure you saw that, and it was in the README as well. It basically takes you to /q/dev, and that's where you can get the Quarkus related metrics. So nobody got the /all, but obviously the metrics was a little confusing, I guess, right? But let's see how
what
the
happens.
leaderboard is shaping up.
Yeah.
Wow, quite a few got it right.
Whoa. What a thing.
What
Now
a change,
Anshul,
complete
Neeraj, and
change.
Rahul jump to second and third position.
Anshul still maintains the lead. Awesome, Anshul.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see if we can hold off for the next two more questions, right? We are almost there.
Almost. Yeah.
Question 6, which is one before the last. What container-related Maven plugin did we use in the workshop?
Jib, POM, Maven, or Java? Let's see. And time is up.
Okay, this was confusing too, maybe, but I did talk about this. I talked about the Jib plugin and how easy does it make to, to containerize.
Yeah.
It's not the only plugin, but that's the one we used in the workshop. Okay.
Yeah, so Jib.
Jib is the correct answer. Let's see the leaderboard, how it's shaping up.
And Anshul doesn't get
Man,
anything
completely
wrong and
changed
is
it.
still leading by a lot. So I think it's more a race to the second and third position by now because there's one more question left.
Exactly, and if Anshul gets it wrong, he probably won't make it. But if he gets it right, I think he's good. Yeah, but Kaja and Yom, definitely watch out because other people are very close to you. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So do we explain in a little bit about what you do? To get the.
Well, let's finish.
Let's finish.
Let's finish, and then I'll just give a very short instruction.
Answer fast, answer right, answer correct,
Yeah.
answer fast. I don't think we talked too much about this, but you should have an idea of what VM requires.
You mentioned that for
native.
sure.
Yes.
A few times also at that, so it should be possible to pick the right answer. So what is required to generate a native image?
Great. We got quite a few
And
right
there
answers.
we go. Yes, GraalVM. Very good.
GraalVM is correct. To be able to do native images. Java VM, the usual, but GraalVM, you are able to generate the native image. But, any other kind of packaging, you're fine with Java VM. And let's see what happened to the
leaderboard. Some
Anshul
change.
was very careful.
Yes. And, ooh. Okay, so Anshul, Neeraj, and Vyom. So, Rags, please do not go away from the screen.
Yes.
Because now it's time for the instructions. Congratulations to everyone, but in particular, Anshul, Neeraj, and Vyom, please take a screenshot of your winning screen or on your phone. Take a screenshot of your winning leaderboard. And I just posted in the chat, in the YouTube chat, and maybe I'll also post that in just to be sure, also on Discord. Instructions. So basically what you have to do is please take a screenshot of your winning screen, send it to this email you see, jackfryer@datastacks.com, and you should be giving us name, address, phone number, and also, since it's a jacket, size, and whether you want the woman or man model. And if you mention Quarkus in the subject, you make it easier for us. But Rags, if you want to go back to the slides, we also have a slide with these instructions, so it stays in the recording, maybe.
Okay, so you can always go back and look at this. So Anshul, Neeraj, and Vyom, hopefully, hopefully you're able to get the screenshot. But I'm going to move ahead with the slides. We just have a few left.
Yeah.
And we should be
because we should have a slide with exactly these instructions. So
yes.
Obviously, it's about shipping something, so we need your physical postal address,
Yeah.
and a few other
So you
information.
can,
Sorry.
so you can try this out yourself. I'm just going to leave this up here. One of the homeworks goes to this Quarkus. Yeah, another example, and you'll see that actually it's here. Basically, what I want you to do, call for action here, is to go try it out yourself. This workshop is right here, workshop intro Quarkus Cassandra. But there is also the data stacks provided, the driver and all that, right? If you go to github.com/datastack/Cassandra Quarkus, there is a quick start example. So the homework will kind of talk to you about that as well. I know that Danielle, you wanted to talk about this, and I know it's a little bit longer than what we anticipated, about 11 minutes longer, but hopefully you are still here, and please go ahead and talk about this. Or did we lose Danielle? So basically he created a D-zone reference card that you can take a look at this. The best way to get started is with the with the URL link at the bottom. But the point here is that you can use it in a variety of different contexts. Quarkus, not necessarily just with native packaging with Kubernetes or whatever, but in different contexts as well. I know Danielle, I really want to thank him. I know he had a meeting coming up, I think, after this. So, that's probably the reason why he's not here. But he'll be back again tomorrow. Tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell everybody, to attend, because Danielle is great.
Yeah, there is another point, another very important point, and it is the voucher. So, which I can't seem to find right now, but
yeah, I'll find that. It's coming up.
it's in the slides, right?
Feedback
okay, because
it's in the slides.
it has been asked in
your
the
feedback
chat.
is your feedback is really important. You know how to reach us. Again, you can go to this link for workshop. Okay, we played Menti already, so we can skip that. Again, if you want to take a note of this, you can do that as well. I probably need to move the slides properly. And Stefano, you want to talk about this free certification voucher?
Yeah, very, very briefly. Okay, I just posted the important link in the chat, and you also see that on screen. So as we said at the beginning, there are certification programs to get Apache Cassandra certified developer, administrator, and there is also a Cassandra certification. We offer training for free on academy.datastacks.com. But taking the exam, in principle, has a cost. But today we are giving out for free the vouchers valid to take the exam twice within 3 months, I think. So please go to this link, and you will be filling a form, and you will, in a matter of days, at most 1 week, you will get a voucher to take the exam for free. So I hope this answers the questions I'm seeing in the chat, and we encourage you to use this chance, because taking a certification voucher, so getting Cassandra certified is really a boost to your career. Yeah, that's it. So there are also questions about when and what are the next workshops, and maybe the best answer would be just to paste another important link in the YouTube chat, because we run at least a couple of workshops per week, even more sometimes. And if you go to this website, datastacks.com/workshops, you will be able to keep an eye on what's coming next. The credit, how long is it? The credit, what do you mean by credit, Raj?
I think probably the question is how long is the voucher valid?
Yeah,
maybe?
and in that case, the answer is you have 3 months before it expires, 3 months to get prepared and take the exam. Obviously, you still have to get to learn about Cassandra, and it's probably taking some weeks to complete. Anshul, no, the two things are unrelated. So on totally unrelated channels, you fill the voucher form and get your voucher, and independently you submit your homework. We would like you to submit the homework within 1 week from now, just as a suggestion, so we can process them more or less all together. And grading your homework is a manual process, so don't be surprised if you don't get back, if you don't hear from us immediately, because it's a manual process. So we go through submissions one by one. Yeah, I think that's it. So the slide is about the workshops we run every week. And please go to the website I gave you, and you will see what's coming next. We have cool content not only on Cassandra, but on development and related technologies. And we invite you to join us on Discord, where the discussion can go well beyond the end of this live, which is approaching because we are almost there. We are actually 15 minutes beyond the mark. So yeah. Yeah, I hope.
So thank you very much. I particularly want to thank Stefano for hosting this workshop. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we were able to kind of kind of solve them. I myself, was using Menti the first time, so there were a little bit of hiccups, but I think overall
we've been great. Come on, we've been great.
Yes, I think we did a great job, and time to pat ourselves on the back. But really, I want to thank you, the audience. Without you, there is no workshop, right? So I learned a lot myself, especially about kind of setting up, the debugging and all that, which is one of the great things about all of these workshops, is to just level up the skills, whether you are the, the workshop attendee or whether you are delivering the workshop. So I think we have achieved that, and again, I want to thank you all, and hopefully see you soon. Some part of the world sometime.
Yeah, and a special thanks to Daniel, who was kind enough to join us today for this presentation. And unfortunately, since we've been running late, he had to leave 15 minutes ago. But thank you, Daniel, anyway, for the precious
thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Red Hat, for helping us out with this.
Yeah, so I think that's it. And we hope to see you guys, all of you, next time at our next workshop. So goodbye, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube if you didn't already. So with that, see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.
And as always, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell to get notifications for all of our future upcoming workshops.
A being gifted with powers from the goddess of Cassandra, who grew those powers until she could multiply at will, move with limitless speed, and unmask hidden knowledge. With those powers, she was able to fully understand the connectedness of the world. What she saw was a world in need of understanding. From that day forward, she sought to bestow her powers on all who came into contact with her, empowering them to achieve wondrous feats.